Hello and welcome to another of our Dental Business Transaction podcasts. And today I'm talking to the founder and CEO of Mind Ninja, Dr. Mahrukh Khwaha. Now, Mind Ninja is a wellbeing company that helps dental and healthcare professionals enhance their mental well-being through resilience and well-being training. And they do this, as Mahrukh will explain, by sharing evidence-based mind tools, positive psychology, neuroscience and mindfulness. Mahrukh, welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me on to this wonderful podcast.
Pleasure. Now, first of all, let's talk about what's your vision, Mahrukh.
For me, really, and the purpose for actually founding Mind Ninja was to help dental professionals feel more engaged at work, more optimistic, happier, and thrive. I feel like it's an area that's quite commonly missed when we talk about the mental well-being of the profession. There isn't much focus on prevention. There is a lot of focus at crisis point. So really the vision is to help all dental professionals, dental teams feel really happier at work, more engaged and flourish.
I should imagine you're kept very busy, aren't you? Because there's a lot of stress out there in the workplace. As well as everything that's been going on, but just generally speaking. Tell me about your path into psychology and mindfulness, because obviously you're a dentist, but let's talk about what made you divert into this as well.
So yes, I'm a dentist, a general dental practitioner. I graduated about 12 years ago. And during my experience of clinical practice, working in a really busy dental practice, I experienced burnout a number of times and depression, and it really led me to think, what's going on, what preventative solutions are there in this profession, what evidence-based things are there for us, which really led me to kind of research what was available. And I was really shocked at the time that, again, there seemed to be this big focus on crisis point. So, you've reached burnout, but nothing focused on before that point. And that really led me to really research what interventions are available for us. And I found psychology. I actually did a integrated BSc as a dental student. So I had that under my belt. But the more research I did around this area, and I found in dentistry actually there is still a focus on raising awareness of the mental health crisis. So when we look at the research, there's lots of stats to say that dental practitioners are very stressed, they're experiencing burnout, compassion fatigue, and also have high rates of suicidal thoughts. So for example, 2019, there was a great study by Toon, and they highlighted 10% of UK dentists have these thoughts. So we're still at that phase where a lot of the research is focused on what's the problem here. The next phase, we haven't quite got there in the world of research and dentistry, which is around interventions. There are a few, very select few studies, but not that many. But if we look at medical professionals and healthcare, there's a vast amount of research. And that led me to discover mindfulness-based interventions, cognitive behavioural therapy, to help us when it comes to boosting our well-being, and also positive psychology, which is an area I'm really, really passionate about. And I then went on to complete my master's in applied positive psychology. And this area really focuses on why organisations and why people thrive. And it's focused very much on things like mindset, happiness, positive emotions. So not just, the elevated emotions, but we're also talking about self-compassion, mindfulness, and resilience as well. So all of these topics are massively crucial when we're talking about really kind of empowering ourselves when it comes to having these tools early on. So we've got something in our back pocket. What can we use if we experience obstacles and challenges? And as you rightly said, there are so many stressors in dentistry already. Mm-hmm. before the pandemic. And you're right, even more so now. So what can we do, not just to get to baseline where we're, not stressed, but how do we go beyond that? How do we live like optimally and feel more kind of connected and optimistic and have better relationships as well, and live a life of meaning and values. So that kind of led me to learning more about positive psychology and then really focus on that branch of psychology.
It's fascinating because you touched upon, improving relationships. And of course, a lot of business owners, not just dental principals, they're so busy looking after everybody else that the last person in the queue is themselves, because there's so many stresses, so many burdens on running a business and surviving through everything that we've all been through, cash flow, keeping the boat afloat, so to speak. And of course, the impact is huge, isn't it? And that by default knocks onto relationships at home. So obviously what you do is very valuable to people. How do you practice this? Do you go out and do workshops, road shows? How does it work?
Yeah, so I started off actually team training. So in 2019, I would go to dental practices and we'd do half a day or a couple of hours workshop covering all of these areas around kind of understanding stress better, understanding how our thoughts work, and then incorporating practical kind of tools within the workplace, such as mindfulness and self-compassion, and things that we can use kind of in the moment when we're stressed with patients. And then, of course, building happier teams as well. So that was my focus. And then the pandemic happened. And in my head, I always thought that with these workshops, they needed to be live. It's really important that I connect and I talk about this in a more live setting. I couldn't actually really appreciate what it could look like online, but I have to say it's been really, really great in terms of moving this online. And I moved from webinars, which I initially did with lots of different dental organisations, and then I moved from that space to online workshops, which is really, really exciting to think about. Move from kind of boring didactic kind of teaching in a way to something that's like more engaging. How do we help dental professionals really apply this? And that was through kind of breakout rooms and using these kind of tools and getting the dental professionals to try it. And that was super engaging. I have to give a shout out actually to a number of people that have really helped me to get to this place. And I think it's really important to kind of go with that gratitude mindset. And for me, it was Tim Newton, who actually taught me psychology as a dental student. And so initially, when I was thinking of this concept of kind of marrying psychology with mindfulness and neuroscience, I would go and see Tim and have these meetings and just have these discussions around, what can I do as a dentist to help in this space? Because it really felt like, there's a void here. We're talking a lot about patient psychology. How do we get patients to be more motivated, improve their oral health, but nothing on clinician well-being. And so he was really, really important in, I think, just taking those first steps and also just believing that I could do something, because I was stepping into the world of psychology, and that comes also from a place of perhaps a little bit of imposter syndrome. I'm a new kid on the block. Can I actually help anyone? So there was a lot of that initially. And Dr. Janine Brooks as well really helped me in terms of mentorship. And then Stancy Coulon from Action. So that was the first dental organisation, I believe, that really saw the importance of this, and then really helped me in terms of, getting out there. So my first kind of webinar was with Action. And then since then we did lots of workshops. Last year we had our first 4-week workshop, or workshops, should I say. So it was a program, positive psychology program, covering all of this in so much depth, but doing it in this group setting where you've got a buddy, you team up with a dental professional, really to help make a habit that sticks, because I think that's really important. That's part of this conversation as well. How do we not only get the information out there, but how do we also help dental professionals kind of make those changes in a really kind of meaningful way? That's a kind of little summary.
Well, it's fascinating, and you say it's about when you're adopting new habits. As you say, sometimes it can be a bit of a flash in the pan and then people forget it. But if they make it a way of life, then generally speaking, they will see a great improvement. And I know you have, I know the answer to this, but give me some examples of some really good, where you've been so heartened to see such a great response and also results from people who you've really truly helped. I'm sure you have some case studies there to share.
Yeah, so what I didn't mention was I launched a toolkit last year. So taking all of this information but packaging it in a way that's beautiful and engaging. And also I have a book that's due out with Wiley Blackwell, all about this topic on resilience and well-being. And I've been coaching dental professionals as well. So I've had so much amazing kind of feedback when it comes to those products. On a coaching side of things, actually going through that journey with a dentist, going from a place where they feel really kind of disheartened and feel as though things can't improve, in a real kind of negative state. They've tried different things, other therapies, other talking therapies, but not found it as engaging as they'd like, to having coaching with me and noticing that transformation in terms of just feeling kind of happier and more nourished, and actually doing well-being activities in an intentional way. It's been kind of really nice to see that a person kind of evolve through that and feel empowered, because a lot of what I'm talking about are things that perhaps we know about or heard about or read about, but we don't quite know how to integrate that. So some of it's just like I said, kind of coaching someone through and having those conversations, those check-ins, and being that buddy with them to so that they can flourish and just feel kind of more engaged with their life, and that's really important.
And you can't underestimate the value of feeling that they've got support. They're talking to someone, they're not on their own, and that is absolutely massive, because a lot of dental clinicians, as we know, they work, it's a very private, secular business for many of them. And if nobody to offload any fears and worries. So this is a great support tool. Now let's talk about your toolkit, you call it, yeah?
Yes.
Now, for those of you that are not watching the YouTube version of our discussion, Mahrukh is now going to hold up to the camera. Is that right?
Yes.
There we go. Talk us through the toolkit.
Yeah, so I created this product last year. So what that means is I literally designed every aspect of it. I thought about the illustrations. I worked with an illustrator. I wanted it to represent the diverse kind of population that we have in dentistry. I didn't see myself reflected in the products out there, so it was really important that it was engaging. And the idea really is a product that explores some concepts in mental health and well-being, but also then helps you apply these activities. So really kind of a practical way of integrating these well-being activities. So some of the cards are really based on explaining some of the concepts, and then the other cards, which have got an illustration like this one, and then they've got a purple colour at the back, are activities that you can do. So you can literally pick up a card and do that activity, whether it be at home or in the workplace. And sorry, what I was going to say as well, that the idea was really to help boost positive thoughts, feelings and actions through this toolkit. So it's actually what we call a self-intervention. So you can even, practice this for like a month or a week and just notice how this boosts your well-being.
It's a super little pack, isn't it? And I was trying to say, come on, what's in the box? that you show me now.
Yeah,
So you have these cards, and it's
exactly.
portable. One can take it away with you. Travel a gift for people. So that's really good. That's super. And obviously, at the end of this, or we will our discussion will let people know how they can get hold of you and how they can order this, pack, which can help a lot of people. And it's a good start for people to understand. Recognition, of course. I know that you were shortlisted finalist at the Private Dentistry Awards in 2020, and you were named in the top 50 in dentistry in 2021 by FMC for your work on mental health. So well done, Mahrukh. That's absolutely a fantastic testimony to all the work that you've put into this and the passion, which is obvious. From your own perspective, and obviously the business, how have the last 2 years been? Not only as a dentist, but in your role at Mind Ninja.
So, in terms of Mind Ninja, it's been absolutely amazing. I couldn't have imagined the personal journey I've gone as an entrepreneur. I've not got any business knowledge, so just kind of learning how to go about creating a product or teaching. How do you engage and break down really complex psychological concepts in ways that we can understand that is actually even related to dentistry. So I feel really, really proud when it comes to that. Being a voice around preventative well-being and clinician well-being makes me really happy. Also having this book that's going to be coming out in the summer with Wiley Blackwell. So in the last 2 years, I was really fortunate to land a publishing deal with them. And so I've been writing this book. So that's been a great labour of love, but I really enjoyed it. And so grateful for that kind of opportunity to really delve into all these concepts in so much more depth, but also thinking of that practical aspect. How can we help dental professionals really apply this? So I think when it comes to the business, absolutely amazing. I'd love to obviously keep going. I'd love to have a team, and that's kind of my vision for the future. Have more people to help and really help to engage dental professionals and organisations in kind of making this more of a priority, not just a webinar that often they might host or a conversation, but actually having programs that are embedded in part of a curriculum, whether it be undergraduate or postgraduate. That'd be fantastic. And then in terms of my dentistry over the last few years, I actually had a divorce about 4 or 5 years ago, and that was when I experienced the depression, and actually from that's where I discovered mindfulness, and it was a great kind of growth point for me. I learned a lot about myself, but also then obviously launched mind flossing as well. And at that point, I started kind of upskilling more in terms of my dentistry, so doing private courses. And I realised that actually a lot of the reasons why I hadn't upskilled so much over the course of my years, because by then I was 6-7 years into practicing clinical dentistry, was because partly around kind of imposter syndrome, negative thoughts, and a fixed mindset. So belief that I couldn't really progress, or that if I did something too challenging, I was constantly thinking of potentially going to the GDC, not really knowing how to manage those thoughts. So I did discover that actually lots of positive things came out of that event. And so that's what I've been doing, just continuing with upskilling and helping patients the best way I can. I think it is a real privilege that we get this opportunity to see patients, and not kind of once every so often, but regularly. We get to really kind of learn about them in a kind of holistic way, and be with them through their challenges. I have patients that are going through a divorce, that have broken their arm, and it's impacted their sense of self-worth and self-esteem, and all of those kind of life changes. And that interests me the most, which is unsurprising, seeing as I love psychology. But yeah, I think it has been, it's been really positive in terms of having those experiences.
Well, a lot of people found at that time, throughout all the COVID, the lockdowns, and some people sunk, some people swam. You've obviously been very busy, and you're constantly your quest for growth and bringing this further forward sounds fantastic. Because I was going to ask you what plans you have for 2022. You've mentioned the book. The book is called.
It's called Resilience and Wellbeing for Dental Professionals. I did really want a fun title, but Wiley were like, no, it's not going to be searchable if you call it like something too crazy. Let's just make it really simple. If someone's looking for it, they can find it. So we've gone with that title. But it's going to be great. I'm really looking forward to having it out there. It covers things like work-life balance and the psychology of time, again, which is probably an area that isn't really focused on that much, and goes into neuroscience and different elements like this. And there's lots of worksheets as well. So again, it's not just theory. The concept is how do you start applying this? And so I'm excited to see that come into the fold.
Well, me too, and I'll hear about it anyway. But when it's ready, do let me know, because it sounds a brilliant read, and I know a lot of people would love to see that, and I certainly will be getting a copy for sure. Any other plans for 2022?
Yeah, so I'm quite busy in terms of my personal life as well. I had my Islamic marriage last year, and I've got my registration and like party in the summer. So wedding planning currently. I'm also freezing my eggs. So I'm in the process of that currently. I've got my operation end of March. So that's been quite a journey as well, but also, grateful that I'm able to do that. And hopefully go on some great holidays, because I've not been, obviously a lot of us have not been able to do that. So it would be great to travel more. I
know it's great that, well, apart from the usual travel restrictions and issues, but the world is opening up, and certainly I think a lot of people need a jolly good holiday.
Yes.
So how do people get hold of you, Mahrukh?
Yeah, so you can get hold of me via Instagram. So I'm on mindninja.wellbeing. You can also find me on my website, which is mindninja.co.uk. And you can email me as well, Mahrukh at mindninja.co.uk.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for your time today. I'm really delighted to hear that you really are doing so well, and well deserved as well. And I look forward to the book coming out. And I may bump into you in the future with all the dental shows now starting again. So we look forward to meeting up in person. Thanks again for your time.
Thanks so much. It's been such a pleasure talking to you.